is Miss Pam, and I'm the site coordinator for the Afterschool program, the 21st Century Afterschool program at Connors Elementary School. Today we're going to be talking about one of the continents, and in particular, one of the countries. So you just saw a map of the continent, and I have a question for you. What is the big country beside New Zealand? Can you guess? Australia. So today we're going to be studying New Zealand. And New Zealand has a tribal group of indigenous people, and 1 out of 7 people in New Zealand are Maori. And that's how you say it, Maori. We had a hungy dinner, and that's how you say it, hungy. And that means that your food is put in bags and sunk in the ground, and there's a fire in there. And so all of your food is steamed and smoked. And it took a while to get used to, but it was very good. So that's something interesting. We then left and went to another Maori community, and this was a bigger one. We were invited to stay in the on the chief's land on Rotorua Lake, and we tented there for 3 or 4 days. It was gorgeous. It was absolutely beautiful. Rotorua Lake the smell is very sulfurous, and they always have on the lake and on the land, they have these chutes of water that just burst right up into the land or burst right up into the water, and it smells. But it was beautiful, so well worth it. So we stayed there. First thing we did was we got there, we took a bath, and that is in a bathhouse. The water is piped into most houses in New Zealand, most small houses off to the side, and you can just sit there. It's just like a sauna, and it's so nice. It's just like heavenly. Okay. The next day, the chief's wife took us to the meeting house, or the house of worship, and I have a picture of that. And in this house, the guy took us and talked to us about what that meant and what the house looked like. And if you look carefully in the picture, you're going to see some sculpted designs in the house. When you get into that house, you're going to see like poles. And most of the families there, at least from the past, have painted these posts, and it represents their life story, what's meaningful to them, and it's gorgeous inside, absolutely gorgeous. So we took a tour of that, and after that we went back and we saw a performance. And one of the things they did was a haka dance, and this is a dance that simulates if you were going to meet your enemies, how would you scare them off first? You would scare them off by sticking your tongue out. Okay, so then the next thing we saw in the performance was that the women did this dance, and it was so nice, and they were dressed in all of their garb. They have these balls, and they have 2 of them on their sides, roped to their sides, and they pull out these things, and they do amazing things with these things, and it's just incredible. So hopefully you'll see a picture of that. Okay, let's get started with this. Maori believe that respect everyone around us. So how they do that is by their symbols on their bodies, their tattoos. And so one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to, and I sent all the templates to Miss Jen, so you should have all of them in your packets. Okay? This is a stock picture. It doesn't have many symbols, but this is a stock picture of a man's face tattooed in patterns. Okay? What I'm going to ask you to do, and there's 2 projects, this is the first one, is you have a blank page, and you're going to pick symbols, Maori symbols, of what symbols you feel, what things that are important to you, what kinds of things would be so important that you would tattoo your body, your face, wherever. I'm going to have you tattoo a face today. And here are some symbols. And these are the ones, this first one is the one that most New Zealanders and Maori put on their faces. Okay? So one is a twist, and that means that it just says twist. The other was Moana. Do you remember the movie Moana? Well, that is a symbol for sea. And so there's other ones in here. There's the fish hook, the fern, which is called the koru. So anyway, you can have several of these. So you're going to take your pattern and you're going to take a black magic marker and a pencil, drawing them on with a pencil first, and then going over them with marker. And just decorate your face the way you would like your face to be seen to the world. Supplies for the tattooing of the face will be a template of the Maori face with tattoos, and then one that's blank. Maori designs that I've shown you some of them. You'll need a black marker or a Sharpie, and so a pencil, a plastic bag. When I do that, I don't know if you can see it, but I always take a plastic grocery bag, cut it open, and lay it out. So if I'm painting or using marker, that's the dog. That's right. Hey guys, want to be in the movies? Guys? Are they? Okay. So I take a plastic bag, I cut it open, and that is my workspace. So if I'm using a marker or some paint, I'm not going to get it on my counter, and that's very important. And it's just a grocery bag from whatever grocery store. So those the supplies for the Tui bird. Supplies for the Tui bird. Template of the Tui bird. Again, marked where to paint the colors. A printed cardstock of the Tui bird. So be careful when you do come up close to the lines with your paint. Don't wet too much on the lines of the paint because it might bleed through a little. But just be a little bit careful. Okay? You're going to need black, tan, green, and turquoise. You're probably going to need some white. So if you make a mistake, you can go over that with the white. Or you can use colored markers. You could use colored pencils, whichever one is easiest for you to use. I showed you the small and the medium paintbrush, water in a cup, you got paper towels, plastic bag, and a towel. Okay. Second thing is much more difficult, and so we're going to paint a Tui bird, and this is a Tui bird. Don't get discouraged. Okay. You all have in your packet a pattern on cardstock paper, and on the template that we're sending you, it has the colors. So if you get mixed up, don't worry about that. You'll have it on the paper. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to. I'm going to show you a little bit about painting with brushes and paint. Hi. I have two paintbrushes. One is a very fine brush and the other one is a little bit thicker. These are the two brushes that you need. I'm going to show you how to use these brushes. Okay? So when you put it in the paint, you're going to paint it, put a little bit of water in, which is what I did, and you're going to roll your brush around. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm rolling the brush and I'm getting a very sharp point. Then I'm going to take my brush and I'm just on the point. I am going to, can you move in for this, right? And I always practice with my paintbrush before I start. And I'm using the tip of that brush. Notice the brush is up straight when I paint. Okay? This brush also makes very thin lines, but the reason we're using this particular brush is so that when you paint your painting, you can go into these little points. They all have little sharp points. All right? So So when we do that, we're going to just move your brush down, and then I'm going to paint it down so that I'm not going down to the point but only once. So I've made a little diamond and I've used the brush to go down to the point once, and then I'll fill in the rest of that point. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's a point. Okay? So that's one brush. The other brush is a bigger brush, and that helps you just to fill in things. Okay? And again, notice I'm not going like this with my brush. I'm usually holding my brush up like this, and not down in the ferrule, but up here, and I'm just brushing it with that tip. And again, getting that tip before you start painting is very important. Okay? So that's important. Now, say that you're pretty shaky and you don't feel comfortable. I take a toothpick, and I take my toothpick and I sometimes go down into that point, and I will make a little tiny triangle down at the point. And that way, I don't have to use my brush if I'm not comfortable. Okay? If you don't want to paint, you can use black markers. Okay? So continuing on, we are going to paint this bird, and the first color that you're going to paint is all the black. And on your template, it says where the colors go. So if you get mixed up, don't worry. I also made a mistake in mine, which you'll see, don't tell anybody, but I was supposed to put white where the turquoise was, and I didn't do that. So I just put a doodad on it afterwards, okay? So paint your black. Now when you paint the black, be very careful that when you go from here and you move across, that you don't get your hand across anything that's wet, okay? So what I do is, like, I will paint the beak, and then I will turn it and I will paint something black. And then I'll go around and paint some more. So eventually, going all the way around, I've painted all of my black, okay? The next color that you're going to do is you're going to do the turquoise. And again, you just paint where it says to paint, okay? And then you're going to leave the white, color white. But the last thing you're going to do is you're going to do the green, okay? And when you do the green, you're going to paint it green, but then you're going to take a little bit of a blue color and then put it down, just drop it in. So you're going to paint a little bit of the green, and while it's still wet, drop a little bit, little tiny bit, and wiggle it around with some water on it. And that makes it kind of have more of a definition there, okay? The hardest things to do is when you come to one that is part turquoise, part black. So I did my black, and then later I went on and I did my turquoise, and I just took my little brush, and again, I just went down with lines. Like this. It's not too sturdy having it do it this way. But I just went down like this, and I made some nice lines. And if I don't like those and they're not dark enough, I'll go back in my paint and I will do lines like this. Okay? So that's that. And then you can see that you've put some lines here, lines there. Now to do the eye, I did the black eye, and then I put a little bit of the tan color in the eye, and it's supposed to look like a comma. So again, you're going to take your paintbrush and you're going to make a comma. So if you wanted to do it within the eye, just do it like that. Okay? Great. All right.